Hey everyone, I hope everyone's doing well, and I appreciate everybody's hard work in getting our assignments done in Module 1. You guys this week had to take a look at federal judges and whether you thought they should be appointed or elected, and I think we had a lot of great discussion on that this week. And then your writing paper had you focus on the structure of the federal court system and identifying the three tiers and what the roles are and so forth. So I'll be taking a look at those this week. If you have any questions on any feedback that I provide you, please don't ever hesitate to contact me, and I'd be happy to discuss anything that you have regarding those assignments, okay? I just want to take a quick second to go over what we're doing this week. Specifically, I want to go over the grading rubric and the guidelines for our assignment this week. So this week in Module 2, we're going to continue to look at the American judicial system, but we're going to focus on state courts. And then this week we're going to have you look in part the roles of state court judges to those of federal court judges, which we explored in Module 1. And so having you writing a paper on that this week. So let me go down here so I can go over that grading rubric with you real quick. So I'm going to click on Assignment Guidelines and Rubrics. And then I'm going to go ahead and here it is right here for Module 2 Writing Assignment. So this week we're going to have you look at the role and duties and qualifications of state judges and federal judges. So you're going to compare and contrast the roles, qualifications, and duties of state judges and federal judges. Again, specifically, the following critical elements must be addressed. So here, number 1 is job qualification and description. State judges, using research, create a job description for state judges. Now, since in the United States we have 50 states, you're going to have an array of criteria because in some states the court system is a lot more elaborate than other states, which is a lot simpler. So what you may want to do is, for example, choose judges from your home state, evaluate them, look at what the job description is, the criteria is as you prepare for this assignment, or you can branch out and go to a state that you're curious about and see how that court system is set up, okay? And then evaluate how those judges get those jobs and what the qualifications are and what the descriptions are, okay? So you have to do that for both state and federal judges, all right? So you have to do a little bit of research, and I'll show you a link that we have inside Module 2 that you can use as a good source as you begin to evaluate job qualification description for state judges, and then you can look at the same thing for federal judges. So fairly straightforward here, but again, you need to create a job description for state judges. In other words, what does it take to be a judge in California or New Hampshire or Vermont or Nevada, okay? And then job qualifications for federal judges. Well, we only have one federal government, so those job requirements are going to be clearly outlined and described, so you can take a look at that and see what those job requirements are. Then you have to provide an opinion. Assess the relative difficulty and caseloads of state and federal judges. Who do you think has a more difficult job? Why? Consider in your answer the caseload and type of cases that state and federal courts handle and the amount of public and media scrutiny state and federal judges receive. So there's a handful of things so you need to make sure you include in your essay. So as you prepare your essay, make sure you address each of these specific points, all right? One of the key things, again, for this assignment, as with our last assignment, you have to have at least 3 sources cited in an APA format. I've reviewed some of your papers already from last week. So if you need to refresh your memory on APA format, in one of the previous announcements, I have provided a link to a good website that provides APA information, so you don't have to buy a book or anything. You can use that as a good reference, okay? Again, it's a short paper, must be at least 1 to 2 pages, and here's the specific criteria as you begin to work on that paper. All right, so again, pay attention to the guidelines for submission, and the key thing here is at least 3 sources cited in APA format. As in the past, there are 4 ratings: exemplary, proficient, needs improvement, and not evident. Please note the difference between proficient and exemplary. For exemplary, you have to meet the proficient criteria, but in the exemplary category, you include specific examples based on research. In other words, you're providing me with examples that go above and beyond just telling me, for example, specific details about the job. All right, so you're doing some research. It shows you've done some extra effort here to get that exemplary classification. So strive for that. Spend some time, do a bit of research. I think you'll find it worthwhile and very rewarding. So that's basically the same for both state judges and federal judges. Job qualifications and descriptions. You have to do a job description and what are the qualifications for the job. So job qualifications and description. All right. And then, like I said, since we have 50 states, you may have different criteria. So I would limit it to a state, and then as you prepare your paper, tell me what state it is. Right? Then you have to have an opinion section, and here you're going to provide. Again, we're going to go back up here, and you're going to assess the relative difficulty and caseload of state and federal judges. And again, who do you think has a more difficult job? Why? Consider the type of cases that are heard at both state and federal levels, and the amount of public and media scrutiny that takes place. All right. And so, if you remember last week, when we were talking about whether or not federal judges should be appointed or elected, I brought up a couple of examples of cases that got a lot of media scrutiny, specifically at the federal level. And one of those was the district court judge in Washington State who temporarily halted President Trump's travel ban, the immigration travel ban. That just shows you the type of power that federal judges have in terms of the type of cases that they handle versus the type of cases that state judges might handle. Okay, so you can take a look at that, do some homework, find out maybe from your own state what you've heard more about in the media regarding decisions by state judges versus federal judges. But understand that a federal judge in Washington State has the ability to temporarily put a hold on a ban issued by the President of the United States in Washington, D.C. So that should give you some idea as to how these two systems differ. And then your articulation of response, again, please take your time. Make sure that you have no misspellings, your grammar is correct. Take a look at your APA format. Make sure everything flows smoothly. Don't ever hesitate to use the Southern New Hampshire Writing Center. If you have any questions, they're a great bunch of folks willing to help you anytime, okay? So take a look at this before you start working on your paper so you have an understanding of what the requirements are and what should be included in your paper. And also, if you need, again, review the different types of ratings. My goal would be for you to all get an exemplary rating, but you're going to have to go ahead and provide some additional research that goes above and beyond the proficient level. Okay, so let me take a look at going back here. Let's go back. I wanted to show you some of the resources we have this week that I think will be of use to you. And let me get that real quick here. And here we go. So here's two articles. Should judges be elected? Oh, wrong one here. Module 1. You'll have to forgive me. Let's get module 2. There it is. Okay, I'm sorry about that. Give it a second to come up here. Here we go. So here's a couple of resource articles for you, the differences between federal and state courts. You could take a look at that. It has some quick information in terms of the structure of the courts, the type of cases, judges selection, so forth. So gives you some idea as to the differences between the two. So take a look at that. And then the other article here has to do with the makeup and structure of the court system. So, gives you a chance to research courts throughout the United States. So if we go here to California, we can take a look at the California court structure, and you can see California is a three-tiered system. For such a big state, 39 million people, it has a relatively simple court structure. We have superior courts, courts of appeals, and then the California Supreme Court. Okay, and we can take a look at another state, and I know right now that New York has a really complicated court system, very structured. Lots going on to their structure. So if you look at the court structure in New York, my gosh, it's pretty complicated. It looks like a little bit different than California's. Smaller population overall, but a court system that is a little bit more complex than some other court systems throughout the states. So different criteria for different judges. So if you decide to do New York, the town and village justice court might very well have a different criteria for justices rather, than let's say a district court or a city court or a county court. So again, it's your call. If you take a state like New York, then you may have to evaluate each of the courts unless by statute all those judges have to have similar qualifications. But from my personal experience, they do not. Some of these individuals in some of these lower level courts, you probably find them and have law degrees. Okay, so that just gives us some idea as to how the different courts are made up. Again, that's California and New York. So a lot of good information that you can find in both of these articles here. Okay, so again, make sure as you work on your short paper, you review the criteria and the guidelines. This week, as part of your discussion board assignment, you're going to be looking at the differences in state judicial systems. And so it's up to you whether or not you want to use your home state or you could use a different state. But again, there are a series of questions that you need to answer. For example, you have to answer questions such as, are your judges appointed or elected? In some cases, it could be both, depending on how it's set up. What are the lowest tier courts called? So go back to that one link here, and then you can see by looking at the court structure. How many levels of appeals courts are there? What's the highest court called? And then there's a couple other questions at the bottom for that discussion board. So again, primarily this week we're going to have you look at state courts, but you will be evaluating the differences in terms of job descriptions and caseload and your opinions on state and federal judges in your writing assignment. Okay? Again, if you have any questions this week, please do not hesitate to contact me anytime, or if you have any questions about your assignments once I grade them. I encourage you each week to make sure that you take time to review my feedback and comments, and if you have any question, that's probably the best time to get a hold of me. Anything else, please let me know. I'll send you out an announcement just highlighting a few other things and maybe a couple of short videos that might help you with this week's understanding of our chapters. But outside of that, I think you guys are doing an awesome job, and I really appreciate everyone's diligence. All right. That being said, have a good afternoon, and I'll see you in Blackboard. Bye.